Mr. Swarup, good having you. Thanks for joining in. You know, yesterday we were talking to a couple of brokerages, and one of them mentioned, you must have attended their conference. They mentioned that the big voice and the most impressive talk of the day was given by the Coal Secretary Anil Swarup, who spoke about a lot of things and a lot of changes that are happening even as we speak. Pray tell our viewers as well about what's changed between now and the last time that we spoke, sir.
We are now focusing a lot on the quality of coal that has to be delivered in the coming few days. In the past, there have been a lot of complaints with regard to the quality of coal. Now that we have by and large handled the issue relating to the quantities, because coal production seems to be on its target, we are now focusing on the quality. So we hope that by 1st of January this year, the next year, 2016, all coal that moves out of collieries will be crushed, and that will handle one of the major concerns relating to quality of coal. With all the stones coming in, those are the complaints that we were receiving, and I think they shall be handled if the coal is crushed. We are also working on setting up of washeries, and we are very hopeful that from 1st of October 2017, all coal will be washed which is above G10, because that's the requirement, and that would happen from 1st of October 2016. So these two developments that are to take place in the next year and a half or 2 years would actually enable us not merely to improve the quality of coal, but will also handle a number of environmental issues, because washed coal will prevent the coal ash from being, disseminated all over in the environment. So washed coal will help handle the environmental issues, and crushed coal will help handle the quality related issues.
Also, I guess, sir, will go up. So who will be setting up this coal washeries, and what is your assessment of the new calorific value of coal? How much, by what quantum will that go up?
I do not have the exact number of the quantum of calorific value that will go up, but it will certainly go up with all the ash content going out. And these washeries are being set up by Coal India. 15 of them will be set up by the 1st of October, I said, 2017.
How should we read into the latest data of coal import? It has come down. Now, there are two ways to look at it. One, which is that there is drop in coal demand, or B, coal import is down because local production has started.
Let me explain this to you. First of all, it would be wrong to say that the coal demand has actually come down. Coal demand has actually gone up. If you look at the electricity production figures for the month of September, the electricity production has gone up substantially. Now, it wouldn't have gone up substantially if the demand had been low. So the demand is above the demand of last year. What has actually happened is the increase in production. That has impacted the import. Look at the nature of growth in coal production. We are growing at a record 9% this year, which has never happened in the past in Coal India. So that is what is leading to supply of coal, sufficient supply of coal for the demand of the power sector. It would be wrong to say that the demand for coal has come down. It may not have gone up to the levels that you and I may have thought, but certainly it is much more than the demand that was there in the last year, evidenced by the fact that there's a lot of electricity generation that is happening now.
Mr. Swarup, good morning. I'll tell you why Nikunj must be saying that. The fact that we are seeing a decline in e-auction premiums clearly demonstrates that demand seems to be low from user industries. And to top that, we're seeing an increase in coal stockpiles at power generation companies as well. On the supply front, the coal ministry is confident when it comes to production levels. But are you worried about demand and realizations and consequently revenue growth for companies such as Coal India?
No, let us try and understand. When we spoke, or probably I didn't speak to you, but somebody else in ET last year around this time, the primary concern was shortage of coal. So when the coal supply increases, pricing is a function of both supply and demand. Demand hasn't gone down, but supply has indeed gone up. Now, what would you suggest? That should I cut down supplies in order to increase the prices? I don't think that's the right way forward. We shall continue to focus on production, increasing production. The demand will fluctuate, and we have no control over the demand as per se. We have control over coal production, and we are focusing on that. If the price does not reach the levels that you perhaps, or perhaps investors would want, we would certainly not cut down on production, because we still believe there's a lot of scope for increasing production of coal.
So the reason why the power minister was so confident about coal imports coming to virtually nil in the next couple of years, is it keeping in mind a vibrant coal demand as well? I mean, do you believe that both the equations will go up, but just that the supply of coal will increase at a faster clip than the demand?
Absolutely. And this is on account of the fact that in the past the demand for coal was much more than the supply of coal. Now we will be able to match that demand. That's the difference. Earlier, if you remember, last year, despite a record production, India imported 200 million tons of coal, which means that there was that demand. Now, imagine a situation where we are sitting on 300 billion tons of coal in India and we are importing 200 million tons of coal. That may have created certain margins for Coal India in terms of shortage of coal and hence higher e-auction prices. But in the context of Indian economy, in the context of overall growth of the sector, it would not be advisable to keep the production low just to get a better price. So our job is to keep increasing production of coal.
Right, sir, we always focus on Coal India, but what I also want to understand from you is that what is the update in terms of auctions which were conducted this year and how many mines have started up?
You know, 7 mines have already producing. They have produced more than 5 million tons of coal. The other mines, there were some initial issues with the state government. Central government had given all the clearances. We are thankful to the Ministry of Environment and Forest. They issued all the clarifications and all clearances have been given. Even with the state governments, I would like to place on record some phenomenal work being done by states like Chhattisgarh, who came up with an ordinance to clarify certain issues, because there were indeed certain problems initially, but all those problems have been sorted out, and we believe that in the next couple of months or maximum 3 months, most of these 34 mines will start producing coal.
Will that add up in terms of an output capacity?
They have a peak rate capacity anywhere between 50 and 60 million tons. And they should reach their peak rate capacity next year, maximum year and a half.
Can I safely assume that whatever the peak capacity is, by that quantum, the coal import bill will come down?
I see coal import is a function not merely of the demand for thermal coal. There are other functions. For example, the coking coal will continue to be imported because that quality of coal is not available in India. Similarly, the power plants that were set up in the coastal areas have a boiler which caters to a particular quality of coal, and that has to be mixed with the domestic coal, and that amount of import will continue. But certainly all this increase in the production of coal within the country will certainly impact coal import, and it will continue to come down. And as the Honorable Minister very correctly said, by 2017, thermal coal import will come to virtually nil.
Right. What about the 4th round of coal auctions, Mr. Swarup? A ballpark date around which it could be held? Any day?
It could be any day.
This month
We've
itself?
done the groundwork. We've done the groundwork. It could be announced any day. Just wait for a while.
So this month itself, right?
And on the coal linkage auction front, what's the update? Because last we heard was that stakeholders have been asked to submit their comments on the same.
Yes, we've got those comments. We've examined them. Now we are going through the motions to get a final decision done on that.
And again, would the timeline be around the winter session when this can be expected? Or am I being too ambitious?
Probably yes. No, you're not being ambitious. We probably will do it within this calendar year.
Sir, my compliments to your department and to the ministry that one basic issue which India had was availability of railway rakes. That issue has been sorted out, and that issue has been sorted out brilliantly and beautifully. Can you just bring our viewers up to speed with what is the exact number of rakes which were available same time last year, and where does the number stand now?
Thank you very much. I think that's a very positive development, and the Ministry of Railway deserves to be complimented. We were in serious trouble last year when the rake, on an average, we got in rake about 180. This year, till about a month ago, the average was more than 200. And now, we are getting rakes more than 230, almost between 225 and 230 every day. So there's a phenomenal jump in the availability of rake, which is good news, because then our offtake is more than our production. All that production that was lying at pit heads is now moving on to the generation plants. So it's a very good development, and I would like to thank the Railway Ministry for that.
So as of now, what you're confirming to us is that there is enough capacity to at least ferry coal around in India.
Absolutely, at the current levels of production. But as I told you, we are going to increase productions in the coming few years. For that also we are in touch with the Railway Ministry to how augment both the rail infrastructure as well as the rakes.
If I look at the global debate right now is carbon norms are higher. It is time to move to alternate sources of energy. Now, coal is important. India is still a thermal producing nation. So what are your thoughts on what currently is the global debate?
let us understand that as a country, we are really concerned about environment. As a country, there is a lot of effort being made in terms of non-conventional energy. You are aware that we are looking at 100,000 megawatt of solar power, much more addition with regard to other non-conventional energy. But we must accept a fact that as of now, our dependence on coal will continue for a while. Because if you look at the average per capita consumption of energy in India, it's akin to what was there in the US in the 19th century. So the problem is that we would require energy. Now, where does that energy come from? Ideally, it should come from non-coal segments. But you have to live with the real life situation. The situation is that we are dependent on coal. We'll continue to be dependent on coal. What we are attempting to do is to see how the pollution that takes place as a consequence of use of coal or mining of coal, how can that be reduced? And we are really focused on that. So whereas on the one hand, the country is really working on non-conventional sources of energy which are not polluting, we are also looking at ways and means through which coal itself could be lesser polluting than what it is. And it is in that context that I mentioned to you that we are setting up these 15 washeries will tremendously impact the effort that we are making in terms of preventing pollution or restoring the environment.
Mr. Swarup, we could go on chatting with you, but I understand you have a 9:30 appointment, so we're going to let you go on that note. Thank you so much for taking time out and speaking with us today.
Thank you for sparing me. Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.